The ghost light, a single bulb left center stage after each performance, has traditionally served as a supernatural offering to those who came before us and those we have lost, to ensure that the theater, their theater, never goes dark.
That the magic of theater continues. Theaters from Broadway to the West End, Los Angeles to Savannah may be closed for now, but their ghost lights remain lit.
Our spirits remain hungry, our responsibilities clear. We look at this as an opportunity, a chance to build on the work we've done.
A chance to embrace our theatrical roots and create new adventures.
What we do now paves the way for the years to come, for the Savannah rep of the future.
We promise that the ghost light will burn brightly until it is safe to begin again.
It is our responsibility to carry on the traditions that precede us. We are Savannah Rep.
A home for great stories and great theater. The hands of the clock will move again, and this is not the end of the story.
It's a new beginning.
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 And we'll see you soon.
Do we have places? Okay. Do you need me to page them? Okay, thank you. All right, and checking in with the conductor. You all set? Have a good show, Maestra. Three places? All right. Let's do this. Have a good show, everyone. Stand by house to half and house out. House to half. Go. Lights 2 and house out. Go.
Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's time for OnStageOff. I've got some really exciting news for you. This is not a digital background. I, for the first time ever since the beginning of OnStageOff, am recording from Savannah Repertory Theater. If you don't believe me, there's a poster for Jacob Marley's Christmas Carol. There's the box office words sign. But yes, as usual, I have done my hair and I've put on my blue shirt. Because I am Ryan McCurdy, Executive Artistic Director, and I'm very happy to have you here today. They're not our sponsor, but I feel like I'm allowed to show this product on camera. This was delivered by Jen Bishop just before the show started. It is a very large sweet tea from Zunzi's, which means that this show is going to be lit. That being said, wow, that's good sweet tea. I am excited to have you all here today. A reminder, if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, that if you enter comments in the stream, I will see them, and I will be able to bring them into the mix, just like this. Skip Chorus says, yay. I think that occurred right when I brought the Zunzi's on screen, so I'm going to assume it was a Zunzi's yay. Skip Chorus, this is a big yay to you in general as well. Here's what's going on. We do this show every week. It's a lot of fun. I love that people love it and enjoy doing it. We had a really exciting week here at the theater with things that I can't tell you about, and a particularly exciting day today about the theater with things that I can't tell you about, but I'm looking forward to telling you about very soon. In the meantime, I'm going to throw this email address up at the bottom. It's whatsup@savannarep.org. This is an email address which allows you to talk to us in any way that you want, but specifically it allows you to suggest guests for this show. Would you like to be on this show? Would you like to put a friend on this show? Do you know somebody that knows Art Carney? Would he like to be on the show? Email us at whatsup@savannarep.org. I'm going to make one other thing go there, savannarep.org/ghostlight. Real talk for just a moment. we started a new works department in the middle of the pandemic. I myself was not hired until the pandemic had started. We started a new works department because we wanted to, and it was important, and we thought this was a good moment to grow. An incredible anonymous matching donor put forth the first $1,000 across September and October to finance our new works department. As a matching gift, we made all of the $500 that we needed to in September. We are $50 shy for October. So if you are able, in for a penny, in for a pound, go to SavannahRep.org/ghostlight. We are a 501c3. You have literally until Tim Curry finds his tambourine tomorrow night to give $50 to this company, which will fully fund the first $2,000 of our new works department, which is very important to me and our staff and our artistic family in this community. That's a lot of information at once, and it's time to get to the show proper. My first guest is an actor who I am honored to have worked alongside. I am excited to talk to him about a lot of things, most of which I haven't decided on yet, because that's how this show goes. Please welcome to the show, CK Allen. Hi, CK.
Hello, Ryan and everyone. Hello.
I'm
very
so
honored
happy
to be here.
I'm honored to have you here. First important question: what is the art behind you, directly behind you?
That is a poster for Servant of Two Masters in Italian that I won at a party, and I won't tell you how I did. That's great. Win it.
But I'm going to dig in for just a minute.
Sure.
Something happened for this poster to become yours.
Yes.
Were there other similar like theater type gifts, or was this like the primo gift of the whole party?
This was the primo gift of the whole party, which was thrown by a playwright friend. There were other creative people there, and we had to contribute something creatively to the art in the playwright's apartment.
I like it. CK, yes. You are someone who has worked extensively on stage, and you've also worked extensively on television, specifically in the commercials realm, which of all the exciting guests we've had in our 11 previous episodes, you are the first who is known by face as an actor from commercials. In fact, here's a picture of you in a commercial. I feel bad to some degree because you look so stern. You look so stern in this picture, and you're not stern in the entire commercial, but you look very stern in this picture. That is for. Are you allowed to say the names of the products that you?
I think I am. No one has ever slapped my hand for it before. It was for Allstate car insurance. That was my second big commercial. That was the one that I got actually first time recognized in the street for.
What was that encounter like?
There were a few. There was one guy who was like, "Can I get a picture?" And then we had to wait for his phone to power up, and he was like, "It's a Cricket, so it's cheap, so we have to wait." There was the very first time I got recognized for that, actually, I was in a doctor's waiting room, and I was just standing there looking at my phone, and this person comes over my shoulder and says, "Still leaving the seat up?" which was the sort of catchphrase from that commercial. And it scared me. I thought it was perhaps a friend of mine. This was after the commercial had been running for maybe a week. And I didn't know. I didn't think anybody would respond to the commercial that way. And he just said that, and it scared me. And I figured it was somebody I knew, and I looked at him, and I did not recognize his face at all. And I did a quick scan of him, and he was a maintenance guy from the building. He had his name patch on there and everything. And I was just like, yeah, bye. And then after that, more and more people would recognize me on the street. There was one woman who ran across a crowded Grand Central saying, "Mister, Mister!" And I heard that in the distance. I figured somebody dropped something. And then the Mister, Mister came even closer to me, and I figured I dropped something. And I turn and see this woman barreling through the crowd at me, and she comes up to me and says, "Mister, is you the man who's on my TV?" And I was like, yeah. And she said, "I knew that was you. I knew that was you." She started slapping me, and I'm like, "Thank you." Very
the sort of common thread I'm hearing is that all of these are terrifying in some way or another.
A little bit. They all meant well.
They all
meant well. But initially, you're not supposed to read the YouTube comments for things, but I didn't know that, and I started reading them. And because of this character in the commercial, who was very passive aggressive, people were like, if I ever see this guy in person, I'm going to punch him in the face. He represents the downfall of society and the breakdown of family values. And I'm like, it's a 30-second commercial. That's it. Played for laughs. So usually people were very nice. Usually 95% of the time, people would come up and say, is that you on that? And I think you're so funny. It's so nice. But then other people, one woman came up to me and said, I hate you. Oh, I hate you so bad. And I was just like, it's a character. It's a commercial. It's not me.
It had never occurred to me. I guess I've always known that like actors, TV or film actors that are known for particularly conniving or evil or cruel characters. I've heard about them getting sort of that, reputation that, their fans don't know whether to approach them. It had never occurred to me that in 30 seconds, it's the cleanest, purest way as an actor to show a dynamic. And if people get that in their heads, that's kind of terrifying.
It was a little bit, but like I said, most people were very, very nice, and nobody punched me in the face.
That's great. I'm gonna hope that is. I was not gonna say because I didn't want to jinx it, but now, did somebody tell you, CK? Did someone tell you? I'm assuming stage came first, or what? Let me rephrase the question. What came first?
The chicken or the egg?
Yes. No. Stage or screen?
Like with many people, elementary school theater. Plays in school, and I just got the bug, and it grew and grew and grew. I did not major in theater in college or anything like that. I majored in something else and took all of the available courses at Rutgers University available to non-majors, and the bug just never let go. After school, after college, I took private courses, at the Bill Esper studio. I was doing community theater, that sort of thing, and then met a manager who introduced me to agents when I still looked like a teenager, and started auditioning for commercials and got some soap roles and stuff like that. But it all goes back to theater. The training and the experience was theater, and the commercials, TV things just happened luckily, by happenstance, I think.
Had you had a moment where, did you bring it up to the manager, this idea that I think I'd be great in this paradigm, or was it them seeing the way that you performed and thinking you would be right for it? Because I know a lot of managers and agents don't actively send their clients out for commercials. It's not something that everyone does all the time. So was it your decision or theirs initially to put you into the market?
It was theirs, actually. The first manager I met submitted people for commercials, and before that. When I was a youngin' and wanted to pursue it, I thought I could be a model. So I went to the open casting calls at modeling agencies in New Jersey, where I'm from, and New York. And that's when I thought I could be on the cover of GQ and stuff like that. And they said, you should probably look at commercials. And I thought that was inferior way back then. But as I got older and found out that commercial meant money, it was another story. And yeah, the commercial agent I have now saw me in a show on stage at the Fringe Festival in New York 15 or so years ago.
Wow.
And just said we could market him as these things. So he was the commercial agent who pushed me into the commercial market as a young dad first. And fortunately, I'm still kind of a young dad. Although the gray is coming in. It's a young dad of older kids now.
Well, but to be honest too, it's like it's the perfect time too, because the people are having children later and later. Or it's more so. It's like you are staying at that perfect age to be someone who has a young child, because the concept is evolving as you get older, which I think is great. Because I know a lot of. I've talked to a lot of actors who, at different points, like 80s, 90s, aughts, there was something that was hip there was something that was hip at the moment that they were not, and they sort of missed the ability to be something. And it's always such a shame to sort of watch the way that things move through the zeitgeist, whether with or without us as actors. So I'm glad that you are being put forth for those. I mean, obviously, I've seen the Allstate commercial many times because I think you're hilarious in it. And I just love watching you do it. But you really do play it. It plays beautifully. And I will say, like, there's something about your acting in it that feels, obviously, you're playing this character that people have this opinion on in the YouTube comments. But you feel incredibly real and of the world, which is not something I can say for all commercials. Do you think that your ability to bring reality to a short form frame like that is because you have played so many deep layered characters in 2-act, dramas, or is it just something that is your training that's good?
The training was, on stage, long form, beginning, middle, end arc of a character in a full length play. That is where my training is. I was never trained in short form commercials. I have not studied improv. Improv is something that scares me a little bit, and it's probably something I should lean into because it scares me, but I never have. And I probably lost out on some jobs because my improv skills were not as sharp as they could have been.
Okay.
You have to make instant decisions in commercials sometimes. You don't get the copy ahead of time a lot of times. And even if you do get the copy ahead of time, they always throw you something else that you have to do. With when I started back in the 80s, when I looked like a teenager and a young 20-something, I got pigeonholed because I was an African-American, young-looking person. I got asked to be a rapper, a basketball player, some other urban types that I'm not. I'm a middle-class, white bread, if you will, suburban kind of guy. I'm not urban at all. And I did not get those. One of my first jobs was a radio ad, a voiceover ad, where I was at the audition. I was told to be the urban guy. I booked the job, and when I went to shoot to record the ad, they didn't know it was me, and they thought something got mixed up. And it was a public service announcement for racial equality. And when I got to the studio, there was an Ice Cube type and a Rosie Perez type and me. And it was supposed to be a white guy, a black guy, and a Latina. And I was cast as the white guy from my voice. It's all arbitrary sometimes, but
right.
Fast forward to like you asked about my training. It's been in theater. It's been long form, beginning, middle, and an end. And with commercials and the things that I've done, it's condensing it, it's squeezing it in, it's trying to make a beginning, middle, and an end in 30 seconds. And it's possible. It's possible. It takes some work to do. Unfortunately, that when it works best, like with the Allstate commercial, I got to tap into a slightly different side of me. That's not always perky and happy like this. And a little bit just like nobody's paying attention to me and I'm pissed. I'm grumpy old man. I'm tapping into the grumpy old man thing right now.
I love it. And it plays. And it plays. It's the grumpy and the male part play. I think you are forever young, CK.
Oh, thank you.
I've
hair is not saying so with the salt and pepper.
I like it. I like it so much.
It
you had a Facebook shoot during pandemic times, which actually is a dovetail to my last question for you. You had a shoot sort of like honoring the striations, like honoring the salt and pepper. It was like a shoot. It was in great focus. It looked amazing, and I took note because I'm coming. It's coming in here for me too, and I was like, that's exactly what I'm going to do when it is like a strong enough. I'm going to do exactly like CK did. I'm going to love it. I'm going to take the pictures. I'm going to celebrate. So thanks for leading the charge for me after that.
Own it. If you can't fight it, own it.
The last question I have for you, I sort of set a responsibility for myself that this show, no one talks about the pandemic as the pandemic, and no one talks about politics for politics' sake, because there's plenty. If you want some of that, there's plenty of other things, other shows like that. But thinking about this last several months, knowing that there has been time that you have had to yourself and the time that you have had to think, have any plays or character types or authors risen to the top of stuff that you are just ready to harness as soon as we're back into the swing of things?
Oh my gosh, I can't say that excuse me, there's any one. I was invited to be a part of a play reading group that usually meets on Thursday nights of much more better trained and experienced people than I, who are introducing me to new plays, and I am discovering things that I never thought I would be able to do before. They're casting me just for informal readings in roles that I never would have been considered for in real life. And I think I'm growing a bit from that, from the experience of the exposure to these plays and these characters. And I usually often get less than 24 hours to prepare for it. And then it's flying by the seat of your pants, making instant choices. And it just it tells me that I can't limit myself. If there's something I do need to read more. I do need to read more plays and all that sort of things, and envision myself in roles that I might not have been considered for in the past, and I can be considered for in the future.
I love it. That's the most poetic answer I could have ever hoped for that question. I
tried to be hopeful.
You're wonderful. CK, we were talking before the show started about what the show was. That's the show. That's what you do on this show. I hope that popping by was of use to you today.
I enjoyed this very, very much. Thank you. And I'm so sorry I missed the first time you asked me, but
that's okay. I wasn't going to say it. I will tell you that what we did do, since you didn't see the episode, I will tell you that what happened when you didn't show up, which was a completely understandable technological mishap. Right. We showed the Allstate picture repeatedly throughout the episode. Which we actually were able to do again. It's a running gag now because Geneva Carr had to unexpectedly go to set for Bull. I guess that was last week or 2 weeks ago, and so we showed Geneva's picture about every 10 minutes during the episode. That's a new thing. You don't have to come to the show, but your picture will be shown. CK Allen, I'm going to say goodbye to you.
If you ever have to do that again, if you ever ask me again, I will be more than happy to participate live.
You are the best. Have a beautiful day, and we'll hear more from you very soon.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
All right. That was CK Allen. He's fantastic. Usually I would show an 80s ad at this part of the show, but instead I'm going to drink from my Zunzi sweet tea. And because we have such a big show and I want to get right to our next guest, all I'm going to show is a video of Chris Bass looking confused. Then we'll be back with our next guest, Stephanie Bacastow.
What? Why am I here? I don't know.
It was Chris Bass looking confused. Our next guest is an actor that, and this is not lip service. This is an actor I was so ready for all of you to meet. She was cast. She was ready to be in Light in the Piazza as our Clara. Some of you may know that we did not end up doing that production, but she is here with us today. I want to talk to her and find out what's going on. Please welcome Stephanie Bacastow to the show. Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
Every day is something. Sometimes it's something great. Sometimes it's something not so great. But
yeah, that sounds about right. They keep trucking along here. It's a bit of a vortex.
It's a good word for it. It's like I feel there are days that feel like an animated GIF of the Twilight Zone opening credits. Like there's days where the 24 hours feel like that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say Eric Bishop just said, ha ha ha. The problem with comments is that I'm not ever sure what they relate to, but I guess the good news is whoever cracks a joke for the rest of the show, we now have Eric laughing, so that's good.
Great.
And we have Skip Chorus saying yay.
Hello, Skip.
Stephanie, hello.
Hi, Ryan.
I wish, it's weird for me to be here at the theater right now because I haven't been here since you and I saw each other last in New York. Like I have not been back until this week because of some cool stuff that I'm excited to share at a future time. But I also wish that you were here. I wish you had been here when you were supposed to. So I want to talk not about the sadness of that, other than to let the audience know as they're watching what a joy you are and what a marvel of a production it was intended to be. But I want to talk about your background, your Georgia connections, and talk a little bit about the parallels between your performance and your teaching artist, the parts of you that teach and the parts of you that perform. So let's start with where you went to school, because I suspect that our audience will find it very exciting.
Yay, yes. So I am a Georgia gal. I'm from Cumming, just north of Atlanta, for those folks who aren't from Georgia. I went to the University of Georgia for my undergrad. I studied vocal performance there with Dr. Stephanie Tingler, and was really fortunate that the theater department is really open and welcoming to the rest of the students on campus, even if they aren't theater majors. So while I was studying vocal performance at the music school, I was still able to audition and participate in productions to the theater department at Georgia while I was there.
Which, to be honest, is something that I think a lot of people know that we're working to do with Savannah Rep. I think there's such an amazing symbiotic relationship that can build between the theater that you're doing as part of your college experience and the theater that you're doing outside of it as well.
Yes.
What were the sort of shows? What were the sort of shows you were doing at that point, and did they influence what you have continued to pursue in your career? Or because I hear about a lot of people who like did Brecht as their focus, or they did, Grand Guignol, and then they become a musical theater performer later. Has your career been very tracked based on what you studied at first, or has it kind of evolved in a different way?
Yeah, I think that I always knew that I wanted to pursue musical theater professionally, and it just took a little while to figure out where that niche was going to be. And of course it evolves, and I'm still figuring it out now, but I wanted to train classically, vocally, because I knew at that point that the musical theater that I really enjoyed performing had a little bit of a classical spin to it. So while I was at Georgia, I did The Fantastics through the theater department, and I did Sweeney Todd. And then outside of the theater department, I did Tarzan and Mary Poppins, which is probably my favorite role to date. So stuff that just lives in a little bit of an ingenue and classical place, except for Tarzan. That doesn't really count, but that's okay. I like to do Disney stuff too, so classical stuff and Disney stuff.
There's a meme from a couple years ago that I love, that it's a picture of the Disney version, and it says, Phil Collins, you didn't have to go that hard, but you did, and we love you for it.
It's true. He committed to the bit.
Those songs slap. They really, really do. But they are. I would not say that they're classical in nature. Now, as someone who is, and I've heard you sing. We're going to hear you sing later in the show, which is thrilling to me. As someone who sings classical, especially, what is it like? How do you approach an Adam Gettle song in a way that you might not something else in the repertoire? Like, is there a technique? Is there a methodology? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think that with an Adam Gettle song, which is going to be complex musically, that whole score, The Light in the Piazza, is really complex, which people don't really realize. So you have to take your musician brain and then apply it to musical theater, which is still trying to be really focused on the storytelling aspect. So yeah, I think the two halves at once, thinking as a musician, and then also thinking as a storyteller, which I guess isn't that different from musical theater, but I think it's dialed up a little bit for Adam Gettle music.
Right, and I've thought a lot over the years, because I've seen Renee Fleming sing opera, and then she's had this sort of mid-career switch to being comfortable in Rodgers and Hammerstein, and I've seen her do comedies, and where she is singing a very different type of music, but she still feels very much like Renee Fleming singing a different style of music. Would you prefer that audiences that see you across multiple shows, would you like to be known as for a distinct type of voice, that they like a Bernadette Peters style, where they're like, in every role you go, yes, I know that voice speaks to me? Would you like to be known in that way, or would you like audiences to sort of be reintroduced to you every time you're in a new role?
What an interesting question, Ryan. I love this question.
Good. I'm glad. Please, I'm so excited. Okay.
Yeah, I think the first one. I really like the idea of everybody having a unique sound, and this is something I talk a lot about as a voice teacher too. And I'm very interested in people being able to discover what that is. And so because of that, I think that you would hear me across different performances and still say, oh, that's Stephanie's voice, because I want it to sound like me and not what I think the character should sound like. Not that there is a problem in adding an affect to, singing, but for me, I think the first option.
I had not thought of that question until I asked it. So it just occurred to me that one of the biggest sort of exceptions to the rule I can think of is when Audra played Billie Holiday, right? And I remember hearing that for the first time and thinking, there's no way that's her.
Right.
Which is so fascinating because so rarely does a performer who is doing the first, as you said, so rarely does a performer like that take such a big vocal leap and turn out to be an incredible impersonator as well. Mm-hmm. But is there a singer, thinking sort of like, it's a bad example, but like Meryl Streep as, what's her name, in the film where she plays the singer who was notoriously a little...
Oh, Florence Foster Jenkins.
Yes.
What a great movie.
Thinking about that as sort of an extreme example of the question, is there an existing performer, vocalist from any era that you would love to someday do a biopic of because it's someone that really speaks to you?
Oh.
I don't know that I haven't. If you ask me the same thing, I don't know who I would be except probably Bill Irwin. But the question is to you.
I don't have an immediate answer for that, but I'm going to reflect on it, and I might circle back with you when I come up with somebody.
You're coming back at the end of the show to sing, so it'd be perfect. Oh, I'm excited about Delette McDonald said, great question.
It is. Yeah, I don't have somebody off the top of my head, but it's definitely something we're thinking about.
Awesome. And I would love to know, a lot of people watching this show are, there is the act of making art. There is the act of being a performer and a creator. Then I think it's a very different art to teach. In this last several kind of crazy months that we have had, have you been able to continue teaching? If you have, has it taken on different? Is your approach changed? Have you just barreled through with the technological changes? Where are you at in that part of your life?
Yeah, so I spent a couple of months in Georgia with my family at the beginning of all this. I was sick, and so that has taken a toll on me physically and vocally. And so that had a really big impact on my teaching. Managing my vocal load in recovery from being sick. I've been teaching exclusively online since March, which is very different when you're used to being face-to-face with a singer and being able to make little adjustments instantaneously while they're singing. There's a little bit of a back and forth with the lagginess of technology, but I'm still so grateful to have it. So yes, the singing and the teaching has continued. Yes.
And last question, kind of a fun last question I'm thinking is, because this is, for me, it happens every time. If you are, for instance, particularly congested or you have a sore throat, and this is in the era when we're back to in-person, do you find it more difficult to teach an in-person class when you yourself are feeling grungy in the vocal apparatus, or does it not change the way that you approach the class? And I will tell you first that if I have a sore throat, my vocal classes go off the rails. It's this weird thing where I'm like, I don't have the apparatus to demonstrate, but do you have the same thing, or can you just plow through and be like, you know what I sound like, this is what this is, and now you sing, it's your class. What happens for you?
Another really, really good question. I think that, actually in my recent experience, I have continued teaching, even if the demoing that I do is not back to my 100% yet. And I think that students are still getting a benefit, and we find other ways to describe sensation and describe sound, even if I am not quite there to do it for them. I also have really relied on the anatomy and physiology, all the nerdy training that I did in grad school for voice pedagogy, to just give me other tools and inroads with students, even if the singing is not 100% that day.
I love it. And I'm not saying goodbye to you because you are coming back. So this is a brief farewell, but I do want to tell our audience how grateful we are to have had you here on the show, Stephanie. And you will hopefully come and grace us with a song from Light in the Piazza when we reach the conclusion of our show?
Yes.
Excellent. I will
All
see
right.
you very shortly then.
See you in a bit.
Okay, bye. That was Stephanie Bacastow, everyone. I liked that conversation. Delette, thank you. Delette and I, spoiler alert, had a beautifully socially distanced brunch this morning, and along with her extraordinary wife, Sue. And I basically told her at our brunch that coming up with the questions terrifies me. So thank you for the validation. Someone I don't need to come up with questions for, or two people I don't need to come up with questions for, are our next guests. The good news is I've got video clips, 2 of them, for my next guests. I'm going to tell them what happens in the clip and then see if they can set it up correctly. And instead of showing an 80s ad, here's Chris Bass looking confused one more time.
What? Why am I here? I don't know.
My next 2 guests are improv fanatics. They are very good at their jobs. They are so good at their jobs, I did not know on their last appearance that they both thought they were going to be on 20 minutes later than they were. This time, I think they both think that they're supposed to be here right now. These 2 people, I have to bring them in one at a time because I can't do it at the same time. These 2 people are Mary Chieffo and Jessica Lynn Verdi. Here we go. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
It's so nice to have you here. It's so nice. It's talk radio.
Thank you. I don't know why I do this. I do this fun thing where it's just like, it's not fun because most people listening, it's not fun for them.
Oh,
but when I want to emphasize things, I get closer. But it's really because I'm tactile and I like how the pop filter feels on my lip.
What is it called? Is it ADSR? What is it when you do the like?
Yeah, so it's ASMR, and I can't say I'm particularly like affected by it, but I have this thing that I've actually talked to Mary about, where I get ASMR from people that really are lovely. Like my whole body tingles if someone's like really nice to me. So people experience tingly experiences when they hear things like auditorily. So like ASMR is tingly from hearing things like someone speaking sensually into the mic, and I get it from like, hey ma'am, can I help you with that, or like let me
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I was thinking too that you were saying, if I'm not mistaken, that there's a tactile element as well, that you actually like the feeling of the microphone.
For me, yes. For that, like, so I love how this feels. Like I feel like I'm exfoliating my lips, and it's great.
Mary, follow-up question. Hi, Mary, by the way.
Hi. I started out, my fun adventure was I didn't realize I had muted myself, and then so I was going like silently. So that's my mic adventure. Hey everybody.
Hi, Mary. Is there a microphone just off screen? Because I'm not used to this particular backdrop. When we get together on Sundays with Bespoke, you are usually like, you have the cool lights behind you. Is this that room with a backdrop, or is this somewhere completely different?
This is actually very exciting. My birthday's next week, and my big birthday presents to myself, partly from my parents, was a new like ergonomic chair. We're using all sorts of terms today. Just a very nice office chair, and an adjustable electronic desk. So I just got that yesterday. My dad and I set it up, and now I have, this is the same room, but it's closer to the curtains, so I can move it up.
Wow.
And down.
That's incredible.
It's exciting.
Is that's all out of, that's the mechanical, that's not you just being a good performer?
Good mind. No, it was actually a little button thing on the side, and part of why I did want that is for our show, actually. Segue.
Which is a great transition. Mary, will you confirm at this moment that you are officially the co-host of OnStageOff?
Will I?
Yes, because you have been on 3 times in person, and you have also shown up as the tag every other episode. Will you please confirm for our audience you are the official co-host?
Is this the first time you're hearing about this, Mary?
Yes, it is. This is like one of those game shows. Absolutely, I confirm.
Fabulous. Ripley Improv. Tell me about it. Did I just put up the right URL? These are 2 questions.
Look at that. That's
all right.
That was actually very impressive.
Thank you. I'm going to let the 2 of you, so that your screens are both bigger, I'm going to let the 2 of you tell us about Ripley Improv. And then, Jessica, it looks like you've already set up our first video, which is great. So when you are ready for it...
It's actually this... Yeah, I guess we'll do this one.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll do this one first.
Yeah. Great.
So when you're ready, if you want to set it up for yourself, and I'll press play, and it will look cool if I do it right. So tell us about Ripley Improv.
I believe it. Yeah, my name is Jessica Lynn Verdi, and we only have 1 minute to tell you about Ripley Improv. Hold on.
No, you don't. You have more than a minute.
Just it's a callback from when we were on last time.
Yeah, we're doing
hashtag callbacks.
Part of the improv thing is tying it back in. I'll set us off in that when my intro to Ripley Improv was 2.5 years ago now. And which is wild. Feels like I've known Jessica for my entire life. And it's
been a long life.
It's been a long life. A lot has happened in 2.5 years, so let's be kind to ourselves. But they're an all female group named after Ripley from Alien. Which when I heard that, I was like, well, I think I'm gonna be friends with these people.
Yeah, totally.
And so that was my intro to them at Impro Studio in Los Feliz in LA. And I'll let Jessica, since she is an official member, and I have become a frequent collaborator and strong fan and advocate, but I'll let her describe a little bit more of the impetus for the group.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I would say that you've transcended now that especially you're working with us on so many different projects too, right? Like you're a co-collaborator with us. Just in fairness. So Ripley was born out of 7 women who really liked hanging out with each other and doing improv with each other. We were doing shows together. Like the show that's still running is Improvised Generation, which is basically kind of how we met you, Mary, because of our like crazy love for Star Trek and just worlds colliding. What Ripley is really made of is a bunch of people that said, screw it, we're going to follow our dreams. And it's taken us to a lot of awesome places and connected with people that we were meant to connect with, right? Like it's like that leap before the net and it will appear kind of thing. And even Aliza, who's a member, who's like the captain of the TIG Star Trek ship, the Improvised Generation. And also in Ripley
Generation.
Yeah. She says that she like her inner child was happy when we started doing all these things. Which I think that's kind of cool to look at it in terms of like, is your inner child pretty happy with you? You can't let the inner child drive the car, but you can let the inner child tell you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Telling where we want to go is a perfect segue to bringing the 4th screen in. Oh, we can stay looking at the video.
It's very exciting.
Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling Ripley Improv at the bottom. Let us watch last week on Heartbeats, and then we'll hear what Heartbeats is.
Great.
My brother works here. Do you know Dr. Ayub?
I don't think so.
Because I feel like he's like a really big deal around here. Like, I think everyone like knows Dr. Ayub, right?
Alicia, I have very difficult news to tell you.
What?
We are going to have to do a septal myectomy.
What? No, I'm studying to be a cardiologist. I would have picked up on that. I would have noticed that, right?
You do know who's on the table here, right?
Are you familiar with how the mental game works, Dr. Love?
You mean the game of tennis?
The game of not trying to
poke holes in your mentor's confidence.
You've assigned yourself as my mentor. What makes you think you're my mentor? You killed my father.
I'm your mentor. I'm gonna need you both to focus. Yes, stay focused. We're losing this patient. I'm gonna need more than that, both of you.
Oh, God damn it.
Where's the clear? Clear.
I'm so sorry. Sorry? Sorry I put my faith in you.
The only thing I wish in there was that you'd been there.
You're the best surgeon this hospital has.
I was supposed to scrub in for that surgery, but here you come, new girl, and because your dad works at this hospital, you get to scrub in like your first day.
Did you only hire me because of my father? Because
I loved him.
So much.
I just want to apologize for avoiding you.
I thought that I was the one that was avoiding you, so people don't do rational things after they lose someone, whether they loved them or not. So,
Especially when it comes after a night that we shared together.
Dr. Love, it's come to my attention that you have been undermining me with at least one patient. That's not acceptable.
You waltzed back in here like nothing happened.
It's not that nothing happened. My engine had crashed and I think I just needed an oil change. It sounds ridiculous, but...
Yeah, it sounds like the worst metaphor I've ever heard in my entire life. You're talking about the death of my sister.
Dr. Ayu, disregarding everything personal because you've made it very clear that that's not of interest to you.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. I made what clear?
Don't make me say it again. You've already rejected me once, okay?
Rejected you?
Come to my game night.
I'm sorry. Your game night? Why me? Why do you want me to come to your game night of all nights?
You're the only person that actually invited me somewhere, okay?
Well, yeah, because you were nice to me.
So you're my friend now, and...
Florence, I want to stay here. Sometimes I act too rashly, and I know that my father did, so I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise to you. But if this is gonna work, you and I can't talk about him.
Noted.
I need everything from you. I need to know, do I have your confidence?
I went to the chief and told her that you weren't in a position to do any surgery today and that Chris Galloway should take your surgery.
Now, they took a surgery from me. I think I'm done. But I realized, I thought it was about Dr. Love. I thought it was about Abe's sister, and I realized that I wasn't running away from any of those things. I was running away from you. Call me back.
There's a lot going on. That's Heartbeats. Tell me about it. That's all improv.
Let me ask you: is it like a lot, like too much, or is it like, oh my god, there's cool storylines that I want to follow? Like I need to know as a director.
Here's the lot. Here's the lot that I think. I think it's a lot of stories I need to get in my face. I need my eyeballs to see them, and I need to know how and when and where.
Yeah. Okay, so tonight we will have more of those stories. We don't know what's going to happen in those storylines because it's all improvised.
Yeah,
and it's also going to be spoopy tonight.
Yeah. We have our special Halloween episode, but something I know we've talked about it many times that it's improv, but for me, part of what's been so fun is really emphasizing to everyone that all of those clips you just saw came out of improvisation that happened live in the moment, from suggestions from the chat on theme, and scenes were not predetermined. All of those big dramatic moments and plot twists were all found in the moment organically by our improvisers. So I just always overemphasize that, because when it comes together and all these plots unfold, it feels like, oh right, this is the story that they probably had in mind, and I just am really proud of the fact that we're really paying homage to how shows like Grey's Anatomy plays with character dynamics and plot twists and surgery and all the fun, sexy romance as well. So that's my little.
And knowing, of course, or knowing that you're using those incredible digital backgrounds to sort of center everybody in these locations, but everybody is in a different space. I would like to, if it's okay, as the second clip, I just want to show it involves a handoff of a prop. May I show that clip?
Please do it.
Please
do it.
Great. So when you watch this, remember, not only are they improvising, but the stage manager is actively updating their backdrops. They are using props in the moment, and one is being transitioned from one performer to another. Here is a second clip from Heartbeats. As soon as I take that off, and that off, and go!
You know, Nurse Julie was right. It's really beautiful up here in the San Bernardino Mountains.
Oh, I love the smell of the air.
I love the smell of, well, you know.
Can I have a puff of that cigarette?
Sure, of course.
Got this blanket wrapped around our bodies.
That's my favorite.
Honestly, while it was happening, it's so funny. Because you're right, we're not in the same room. We're basically sitting in a Zoom channel, and we're able to see everyone like at the ready. And when shit is happening live on screen, we're like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. And it like when that happened, it blows our mind too. Even though we know exactly what we're doing to create that effect. So.
I love it.
Really fun.
I'm glad you mentioned too, stage management wise, and we have Miriam Salzman, who is a bespoke buddy as well. But we have to recalibrate what it means to have a stage manager, we have an OBS operator, which is the system that we use to stream on Twitch. So we have Rachel Wasserman doing that, who is speaking to our actors. The only person that can speak to our actors that isn't heard on Twitch. We have to stay muted. We have to be changing backgrounds. I'm there as producer, monitoring the beats, making sure that we're following plot, but letting everyone improv. And Miriam, yes, at the beginning of every show, what she would normally do if she were live with everyone would go and just check all the props herself. But instead, she has to have everyone in gallery mode on the Zoom and go, okay, everyone have your coffee cup. Everyone lifts up their coffee cup. You know, you got your operating tools, and everyone like pulls up all what they're using. And it's really, it's such a team effort. Everyone has to be responsible for their own space, their own green screen, their own lighting. So it's a real ensemble endeavor because it's truly up to everyone to be paying attention and be there for each other. And yeah, those moments, because it's improv, we don't get to preset. Oh yeah, when we do that pass, we practice passing. We had another one last week with shears that our guest had.
That's going to go up on our Facebook shortly, and so people should keep an eye out for it.
It's really excellent because she's like, I have these lucky shears. Can you use them? And if both of our other doctor actors were we're ready to go, and they both pulled back different types of scissors. And
it's unbelievable. That's the thing too, is like we didn't prep shears. No one said, hey, I'm going to have this prop shear. And then so like they magically like Maddie, you can see like the female actress in that scene has rolled up toilet paper or something like that, and so she's obviously like in the moment going, he has a cigarette, I'm gonna make it happen.
We have a live editor, Kelly Lohman, who is a member of Ripley Improv and an excellent improviser and performer herself. And she is in the moment using Spotlight. If those of you familiar with Zoom, literally using Spotlight to live edit, and we're all just having to do our eye lines. We practice that before the show to make sure that we're angled so we're countering each other. And she's there just checking to see who's ready and available, whose backgrounds are ready to go. And making sure, okay, Nick's just handed off the cigarette, so now I can cut to Maddie, who's ready to go there. It's all very much in the moment. And it's really so amazing and such an amazing learning experience for all of us. And beyond learning, I mean, I don't say that in any sort of self-deprecating way. I think it's like that's exactly what you want to be doing, is like learning and growing in this space right now and making some really, really fun art.
I love it. Heartbeats is Ripley Improv's project. It is available at twitch.tv/Ripley Improv, which is scrolling below. I have to say goodbye to you, wonderful performers, at this moment, and I have to say goodbye to you at separate times because I can't remove two people from the feed at the same time. So, Jessica Lynn Verdi, you are so talented and wonderful. I'm so happy to have you here, and we will see you again so soon.
Yes. Yeah. And I will say that we did say, but tonight's episode is a special Halloween episode, so it's going to be extra spooky, and there may be some ghosts.
Oh, that was your goodbye line. Oh, okay. That was Mary Chieffo, the co-host of OnStageOff, and the amazing Jessica Lynn Verdi. I told you this was a big show, so no ads. I'm going to show you Chris Bass being confused, and we're coming so quickly right back with Sean Daniels.
What? Why am I here? I don't know.
My next guest is a director, a producer, a good guy, and he's here right now. Please welcome Sean Daniels. Hi, Sean.
Hi there. I don't think I've ever been introduced as a good guy before, so thank you.
I mean, you are. I mean, unless I've missed some like vital information at some point in your life, but you are still, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. For the purposes of today, of course. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I am so excited to have you on. This is a completely true statement. There have been like 5 different times in the last couple of years where I have started reading a Playbill article, and it has been something just exciting, something that gets my blood racing, and then your name is attached to it, like 3 paragraphs in, and I'm always your career has been this beautiful growth of projects that people gravitate towards. And please, for the audience, for folks that may not know you, where are you currently, and what do you do at the place that you are?
So I am the artistic director of Arizona Theater Company, which is the state theater. We operate in Tucson and in Phoenix, Arizona. And I've been here for 16 months, 6 of which in this room. But it's a real honor to be here because I grew up in Mesa, Arizona. And so I actually attended this theater as a small kid. My parents were subscribers and donors, and it's actually here that I first fell in love with going to the theater. So to really come back and, I took every acting class that I could growing up, I'm a terrible actor, so I can't blame those instructors. But to be able to come back and to be able to run the organization that so changed my life is just a real honor.
And you also, for those watching who are in Savannah or are Georgians, you also have a really major Georgia connection to your life. What was that connection? And set it up so I can show this really awesome photo I found of you.
No. So I, with 8 other friends, co-founded Dad's Garage Theater Company in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, this is a picture of us performing in college beforehand. And
ostensibly, you're one of those people. Which one of these people are you?
In the middle. I'm
okay.
Right. I'm the guy in the white shirt in the middle. We were an improv troupe in college called the Whammo Players. And then we left and we formed Dad's Garage Theater Company in Atlanta, Georgia. And actually, so it keeps going. My wife is a graduate of SCAD.
She is.
She was part of the first class of theater students that were there to be able to do. And so we're deep in Georgia. And actually, I met her when I was at a fundraiser at Dad's Garage years and years later after founding it.
Oh, I love that. Dad's Garage was actually, I think this was for a lot of people, Dad's Garage is where we packed up a van of a bunch of our friends. We came to see Dad's Garage shows from SCAD as like rites of passage, because what you were doing up there was exactly the stuff we wanted to be doing. I'd like to think that the first theater that I helped run in Savannah was based in part on what I had seen of the use of the warehouse space and the really clever uses of marketing. Like I felt like I tried to pull as many things as I could see from my Dad's Garage trips and put them back in Savannah. The other cool thing too, because the world is so small, our managing director, Jen Bishop, has put a comment up, which is, yay, I did 2 shows with ATC while in college. So she is now here in Savannah as our managing director and one of the founding members, and is where you were now.
You eventually realize, maybe this is why people think I'm a good guy. You realize there's only 8 people doing this business, so you should be nice to all of them, because you will probably work with all of them at some point, or they'll have to hire you at some point.
That's true. Now, speaking about hiring, one of the things that you were at Merrimack for several years.
4.5 years.
4.5 years. And the number that I'm about to say, I want to make sure I get it right. In your time there, you had 14 world premieres? Was that the number that I saw?
Something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
we did 7 shows a season, and usually every show we did about half of them world premieres, as just a way to, I really feel like new work is the key for attracting new audiences and just for how to be part of the constant, narrative in our country. And so I think like we really made a promise to go after new work and develop it, and we've made the same promise here at Arizona Theater Company. And what's fascinating that I found up there, and maybe it's true to other theaters, I don't know that audiences really care what's a world premiere or what's not. I think they care about whether they feel like the story affects them. They feel like they see themselves represented on stage. And so that's what we found at, New Englanders. They were less interested in shows that had done before. In fact, we at some point even stopped saying what's a world premiere or what's not, because people were more interested in how does this show relate to us, right? We all know all theater is local, right? So the question is always why are we doing this show for the people in this area?
I was actually going to say just before you said that, I've worked for companies who have they push the agenda of it being new work so much that they have the complete opposite reaction, that people say, oh, that's the stuff I'm going to miss, that's the stuff I'm going to, and I think what you're saying is exactly right. You're programming it. You're not putting it on a pedestal as something that you have to come with a mindset for to come to the theater. It's something that you're producing. And then if the audience walks away having seen something that was a world premiere, I think in a lot of cases it's probably something that when they see it take off, they go, oh, I was there at the beginning, even if they didn't know they were there. A show that I believe is like that is The Lion, which was a world premiere at Merrimack. Am I getting that right?
It was not, but we did the launch of the. I
was close, Sean. I tried.
You're close. We did the launch of the national tour from there to be able to go. And I think, so I worked at Actors Theater of Louisville for several years also. And I think the thing I learned there that I've always used is everyone thinks because they have the Humana Festival of New American Plays that everyone in Louisville must love new plays. And that's not true at all. They love bourbon, they love horse racing, but the people of Louisville love Louisville. And so what they're able to do is that when the Humana Festival happens every year and everybody comes there and the New York Times comes there and the French press comes there, it allows them to suddenly to build into civic pride, which is a totally different thing than did I like a play or not like a play. And we all know that actually, or maybe some of us know, civic pride is really the thing that I think when you tap into, you go to a whole other level in terms of what it is. And so the Humana Festival has grown actually not because people love new plays, but because they love their city and they want to feel like their city is important and they're proud of it. I mean, listen, any sports team that has ever made the playoffs after a long time of not being there, suddenly everyone's a fan, right? And why can't theater be the same way? Why can't it start to be that you've never heard of us before, but suddenly now our theater is in the playoffs and we're doing things that's going elsewhere and you get to see it first. We often talk a lot about out here in Arizona, how to really position ourselves as the spring training of regional theaters, because that's the thing that people in Arizona understand. So it's if you want to see the best in our country before anybody else for a third of the price, we're the place to come, right? And it's the same thing as spring training to be able to do.
I think that's great. I've never heard it phrased that clearly. The buy-in of the local pride, of the regional pride is such a big thing. I feel like regional theaters spend so much. I mean, I am now in charge of one and find myself trying to find 15 ways to throw marketing at a wall to make it stick. And so many times there are very simple buy-ins, and I feel like regional theaters we're all trying to. We get stuck trying to saw someone do really well somewhere else in the country, but the honest truth is that was somewhere else in the country, and it's not going to land. It might land better, it might land worse, but it's going to definitely land different. and it's the uniqueness. And it's one of the things that I've really noticed about people's responses to you at ATC and the way that you've been integrated back into the community is that you are profoundly proud of your community, and you have this very like driven, like, we will be us. We will be us. We may bear resemblances to other companies, but we will be us. And it has been really heartwarming, especially during this weird moment, to see you being so convicted with your company. So.
No, I think that's, well, thank you for saying that. I guess I really do feel passionate about like what this organization could be. And I feel like where it could be going. And I feel like, the theaters that have like a real specific sense of where, like who they are and where they want to be will be the ones that survive this, right? So we're told, and I don't know if this number is true, that 40% of all not-for-profits will not survive the COVID time. And I imagine first to go are the ones that are a little wishy-washy about like, who are they? Who do they serve? I guess, are we here? It's like, what's not community-based? And so I'm always trying to think about like, where is it we want to go? How to be able to push for that. I think as someone who grew up going to this theater, I have a real passion for what it could be. And, I want every kid that walks into our education program to know that they could someday be the artistic director, because that happened to me. And so I think like that type of focus, I hope, helps us to be able to move forward. So, and I just think a little positivity also helps, right, in terms of keeping people moving towards you.
Absolutely, and not away. I think this last couple of months has been an exercise in objects moving in objects moving in space, and so much of it is like, how do we bind together? How do we keep people, like you just said, moving towards us instead of further away? Not only are you a wonderful guest on this show, Sean, this is a conversation I needed to have, or it's stuff I needed to hear. Being in a similar situation, the situation that is similar. Obviously, we are different companies at very different threshold levels, very different budgetaries, very different resources. But one thing that I think is very much that we have in common right now is we are desperate to stay alive for our community. And there's a whole staff here that I think was watching from the performance room as well as across the city, who is going to take all those things to heart. So, Sean, thank you for the clarity on that, as well as being an awesome guest.
Oh my God, no problem. No, but I think like what you're all doing is so fantastic. And I think that, there's no reason why any of our organizations can't really be cultural leaders in terms of what it is. And so I think like how to figure out, right, there's no reason that New York should dictate what is the culture of our towns, right? Nothing else, no other industry works that way, right? So I think, for us really to be able to dig in and to say like, we are community centers, we are places that represent the community that we're in, and like that's the pride that we should have in terms of what it is. I'm sure maybe you face it. Every place I've ever been, people confuse the Broadway tours that come through town as being part of the cultural scene, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's like being in 7th grade in love with someone who doesn't know your name. Like they don't care about you. They're gone. They don't know. They don't even know where they are. Like, don't stop thinking of them as part of your town and your community. No, our actors are in the grocery store. Our staff members are on your, coach in the Little League. We're in the same Montessori schools. I mean, It's just like, that's the type of community people need to realize what it is to have a local theater. And that I think keeps you tied to the people in your community.
That's perfectly said. Sean, the time that I have able to talk to you is coming to an end. Thank you for being part of the show, and also kind of the fun full circle of it was our very first episode when we were just trying to figure out what this was going to be. We had Christopher Oscar Pena on our very first episode.
He's great. He's a good guest.
And obviously someone that has a relationship with your company. And I remember thinking the first time we talked about having you on the show was as soon as we logged off of our episode 1. Chris and I were talking. He's like, who you need to talk to? You got to talk to Sean Daniels. So we're so happy to have you here, Sean.
Yeah.
Sending good thoughts your way. Please say hello to the fam, who I owe an email to, and I promise we'll be going out as soon as I get settled later tonight. We'll talk to you soon. Be well.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Sean Daniels is the artistic director of Arizona Theater Company, and as we pointed out earlier, a really great guy. We have one more really, 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 really great surprise for you. And it's our first musical guest singing from the Classic Musical Theater Rep. Please welcome back, performing The Beauty Is from Light in the Piazza by Adam Gettle. Please welcome back Stephanie Bacastow. I pressed the wrong button. I'm coming in to say, for some reason, Stephanie is muted, and I want to fix that before anything else happens. And the cool news is I get to say her name again. Stephanie Bacastow.
Yes, you would think that in October of 2020, when we have all been online for months, that I would remember to unmute. Alas, take two.
These are very popular in Italy. It's the land of naked marble boys. Something we don't see a lot in Winston-Salem. That's the land of corduroys. I'm just someone in an old museum, far away from home as someone can go. But the beauty is I still meet people I know. Hello, this is wanting something, this is reaching for it, this is wishing that a moment would arrive. This is taking chances, this is almost touching what the beauty is. I don't understand a word they're saying. I'm as different here as different can be. But the beauty is I still meet people like me. Everyone's a mother here in Italy. Everyone's a father or a son. I think if I had a child, I would take such care of her, and I wouldn't feel like one. I've hardly met a single soul, but I am not alone. I feel love. This is wanting something. This is praying for it. This is holding breath and keeping fingers crossed. This is counting blessings. This is wondering when I see the boy again. I've got a feeling it's just a someone true. And the beauty is when you realize someone could be moving for someone like you.
The Ghost Light, a single bulb left center stage after each performance, has traditionally served as a supernatural offering to those who came before us and those we have lost, to ensure that the theater, their theater, never goes dark.
That the magic of theater continues. Theaters from Broadway to the West End, Los Angeles to Savannah may be closed for now, but their ghost lights remain lit.
Our spirits remain hungry, our responsibilities clear. We look at this as an opportunity, a chance to build on the work we've done.
A chance to embrace our theatrical roots and create new adventures.
What we do now paves the way for the years to come, for the Savannah rep of the future.
We promise that the ghost light will burn brightly until it is safe to begin again.
It is our responsibility to carry on the traditions that precede us. We are Savannah Rep.
A home for great stories and great theater.
the hands of the clock will move again, and this is not the end of the story.
It's a new beginning.
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 And we'll see you soon.